we are being dehumanized. So we're not real people. And because of our point of view, they're already talking about, no medical care. We shouldn't be in society. I mean, it's exactly what happened in the 1930s in other places. It just happens to be that it's the political point of view now that's not acceptable. And what's scary is 57% of Democrats say, it's 48%, I think, that say you shouldn't have your children if you won't get them vaccinated. And 57 say maybe we should put you in a camp. That's terrifying.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is the host of the Glenn Beck program and the author of The Great Reset, Joe Biden and the Rise of 21st Century Fascism. Glenn Beck, welcome back to the Rubin Report.
Thank you very much, Dave. How are you?
I'm just fine, my friend. You have recouped from COVID. People were, celebrating your demise. They were very excited.
I know. I was on the Levin show, and he said, "How you feeling?" And I said, "Other than having COVID and my, and the country being destroyed, I'm good." And he was like, "Wait, you have COVID?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no big deal. It's going into my lungs now," which it always does. And I wasn't free. I kept saying, I'm not freaked out. I'm not freaked out. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Oh my gosh. The world was like set on fire. Glenn Beck has COVID. He should die. It was bizarre.
Glenn, why is it, maybe you can explain this to me, you know a bit about my political evolution. Why is it that every time one of my friends get COVID, you, Dennis Prager, people want them to die? Why is that? You guys are good people as far as I'm concerned. Am I missing something, Glenn?
I think because and it's happening to the right too, we are being dehumanized. So we're not real people. And because of our point of view, they're already talking about, no medical care. We shouldn't be in society. I mean, it's exactly what happened in the 1930s in other places. It just happens to be that it's the political point of view now that's not acceptable. And what's scary is 57% of Democrats say, it's 48%, I think, that say you shouldn't have your children if you won't get them vaccinated. And 57 say maybe we should put you in a camp. That's terrifying, terrifying.
So that kind of is what the book is about to some extent, because it's about that there has been a move on all of us and our freedoms for quite some time. I want to show the cover again here, and we'll put up a proper image as well, because it's a scary cover, these faces. These are three scary people. Which one of these people, it's Soros for me, for sure, out of Klaus, Schwab, Soros, and Biden. When you see immediately, seems like the scariest one, like you wouldn't want to see him in a dark alley.
Yeah, no, I think he looks and more every day like the Emperor from Star Wars.
Yeah, he looks like Palpatine.
Yeah. So I think the scariest to me is Soros. He has, believe it or not, kind of the least to do with the actual verbiage in the book, but he is the guy who started the WEF with Klaus Schwab. Klaus is the guy who is really pushing it, but without Soros, there wouldn't be a place to push it, and without Soros, it wouldn't be being pushed. He is a huge force. The other one is Joe Biden, who has bought into this 100% and is on the road to transform not just America, but the entire Western world in ways that will affect your life that you can't even imagine yet. When you get to the end of the book, you'll realize everything is about to change. How I eat, how I dress, what I say, how I pick my job. Do I get to pick my job? My kids in school, they're going to be fast-tracked. Will they get to pick their own career? Everything is changing.
So when you say this, you obviously are talking about the Great Reset, which was a phrase that if we were to utter say a year ago, people would say you were a conspiracy theorist, but as everyone knows, yesterday's conspiracy theorist is now today's truth teller. You've been warning about sort of all of this stuff forever. I think the first time that we sat down, which is probably about 5 years ago now, I said I used to watch you on Fox. You'd have the board behind you, and I'd go, and you'd be scribbling all this stuff and running across the room and the whole thing, and I'd be going, this guy is half genius, half crazy, half entertainer, and I know that that's three halves, but there was just a lot there. But right. you really have been sort of tracking all of this from the financial system to the political system and everything else. So I guess where did you, like in retrospect, I suppose, looking back now, do you see a moment when you first started putting the pieces together for some of this stuff?
Yeah. So I started putting the pieces together, and I didn't know what I was dealing with up until about a year and a half ago. I mean, I thought we were dealing with socialists, and we're not. The socialists are being used. Anybody who's a Marxist, boy, are you going to be pissed when they finally show up.
Yeah.
That is cover to hide what's really going on, and I didn't figure that one out. But I do remember sitting in my studio in Radio City, and I was getting ready to do a show, and there was a little article. I mean, it was literally, just a few paragraphs in the Wall Street Journal buried, and it was about one of the congressmen introducing and then them passing this bill that you could not take your money out of the United States with you. And I thought, somebody knows something is coming. Somebody knows. I mean, we've never had a problem with exodus of money. What is that? And that's when I first started going, wait a minute, what's going on? And then I realized that when they say they want to make the world fair and equitable, it was about 2007 or 8 that I realized, well, you can't do that. You can't bring the rest of the world up to the United States because we've tried. And it's getting better, but it's not up to parity. So the easy thing to do is bring the United States down to everybody else's level. And that's what we're doing.
So let's talk about the Joe Biden part of this, because I want to talk about sort of the machine behind it, but let's just get to like the parts that I think are a little more easy for people to understand first. Sure. So on the Joe Biden part, do you think Biden is fully aware of what he is part of? Like the sort of year, you think he is, that in this last year, the level of destruction that has been wrought across this country, supply chain inflation, the whole shebang, Afghanistan, everything, COVID,
I'm not
you
sure
think he's aware?
I'm not sure he understands the impact, but he does. He is fully aware and committed to the direction. I don't know how much he sees of the wreckage, but he is committed to the direction. And I say that because his first speech in front of Congress, remember he got in, it was about a month later, and it was kind of a State of the Union thing. And if you knew what you were looking for, it was terrifying. He started when he came in, and remember, they were all sitting like 6 feet apart, and so not everybody was there. And he said, you are the ones. And I remember thinking at first he's looking at the camera and talking to us, and he's like, you are the ones. And then he started pointing and looking at all the people in Congress that have saved the world. And you are the ones here that made things happen. He wasn't talking to the American people. He was talking to the elites in that room. The next thing he said, and he said it twice, plus he briefed the news anchors prior to the speech on what he was going to talk about and the real problem in America. And he said it twice in the speech. He said, we have to decide whether our system of government can compete with these new authoritarian governments like China. And the jury's still out. Well, he said before the speech that he's still betting on America, but I don't know if it's going to survive. It has to dramatically change. So what they've put together literally is the definition of fascism. Forget about the jackboots. Forget about what you think that means. Look at the real definition. That is a public-private partnership with private businesses. And if you're in the party or you're doing what the party wants you to do, you're fine. The minute you're not, you're out. Whether that is, a slave camp or you're just out kicking rocks. That's what's happening in China. And China is the model here.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.